as always. So it is Tuesday. We are going to actually be starting a new series to review. Now, do not worry. I will still do Are You Afraid of the Dark? What I'm probably going to do is probably kind of break it up where it's like I'll do like episodes from Bates Motel, and then like every few weeks I might do a couple of episodes from Are You Afraid of the Dark, just because with myself and everything, I'll be honest, as much as I love both shows, I get bored sometimes watching the same damn show like all day, and like I shouldn't say bored with watching it, but then having to review it, and so many weeks having to review it. So I just need a little bit of break. I think you guys need a little bit of break from it, but rest assured, I will still continue doing Are You Afraid of the Dark? So do not be afraid. Don't be upset. I will return to it. But let's crack into it. So, Bates Motel. Bates Motel, Season 1, Episode 1. So, when this show first was announced and started airing, I was really kind of skeptical because I was like, really? I don't think it's a really great idea. Especially, too, at the time because, you know, we didn't have too many shows. I feel at the time, I think this was kind of like right around the time where, you know, everything, it seemed like a lot of horror movies were getting their own like TV spin-offs. Like this was before The Exorcist. I think this might have been around the time of like the Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal type show and everything. So like little things like that, they were just kind of starting to do and everything. I was really kind of skeptical at first, like I said, but really kind of fell in love with the series. I was hooked, loved it and everything, so let's crack into it. So first episode here, we are obviously introduced to Norman and his mother, Norma, who is not dead. She is very much alive. This takes place, obviously, more modern day and everything, and we just kind of see, like, how, you know, Norman ended up at the motel with the house and everything, how they got into this and everything, and just sort of like their backstories and everything. Sort of like basically a prequel to the Psycho series. I'm kind of glad that they did it this way. I know Psycho 4 was, you know, I even kind of said in my review, I believe that it was kind of like, I felt like that was kind of like a prequel type movie to the franchise. I think this series definitely kind of like gives them more of a backstory, a lot better and everything. Not so incestual or anything, but we do see throughout the series just kind of how awkward they are sort of towards each other and everything, but whatever. So yeah, so basically, the series starts off with Norman and Norma leaving their home and everything after Norman's father has suddenly passed away and everything. Norman's not very happy that they are now moving. It just, you know, his mom decided to, let's up and leave, have a fresh start and everything. Okay, whatever, you know, you're kind of like, why are you having a fresh start? Like, that's a little weird. Like, your husband just passed away. I don't know. We don't know. So, you know, they show up. She has not told him yet that they have bought a hotel or anything. So, yeah. You know, they show up and kind of like right off the bat, just, you know, troubles are arising and everything. Like, I know Norman kind of, you know, meets these group of girls that go to his school and everything. He's waiting for the bus or something. He meets kind of like the leader of the group, Bradley, this girl Bradley and everything. She's very pretty. So they are like, hey, you know, you're new, blah, blah, blah. So they're kind of like hitting him up and everything, kind of befriending him. And, you know, and he's just kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, people are, you know, friending me, whatever. So he kind of goes out one night with these girls thinking he's going to the library because they're like, oh yeah, we just want to invite him to the library. No, that is cover up. And he is kind of like, doesn't really realize this until he sneaks out of his house and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're actually going to a party. Like, we just told your mom library so she wouldn't like tell you no in going to a party. So there's things like that like, you know, Norman's gonna have to kind of like get used to. We kind of start to get the sense that he doesn't really involve himself too much with kids his own age or a lot of people except for his mom and everything. So we kind of see that throughout the series, just like how much of like a chokehold almost Norma has on Norman and everything. So it's just like, yeah. But yeah, we kind of pretty quickly realize that they are going to be in for quite a bit of like, I don't want to say, like, they're going to be up for a lot of challenges, and we kind of get that straight away with this first episode. Perfect example is the previous owner of the hotel and the house. You know, he shows up at their house and everything, you know, when they're trying to, like, clean, start, like, prepping stuff. Norman's outside, so he's the first one to see this guy, and he's like, you know, like, is your mom home, blah, 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 like, so you guys bought this place. So Normal comes out, he's like, who are you? Why are you, like, you know, creeping up on my kid? What's going on? Like, and he explains, hey, you know, this used to be mine, this used to be my property, this, you know, my great-grandfather or grandfather built this house back in, like, 1912 or 1911, and then my father built a motel in the 50s, kind of tying it back to the movies and everything. I know he's like, you know, this is my property and blah, blah, blah. Like, you guys just kind of came and stole it. Normal, like, badass is like, no, like, you didn't make your payments. The freaking bank took it away from you and put it up for sale. So it's not my fault. You cannot be mad at me. Like, so, you know, he leaves, you know, just like, don't you ever come back. So he leaves. Later on that night, when Norman decides to sneak out of his house to hang out with these girls that he's met, we see this guy, this previous owner, come back, break into the house, pretty much, like, starts raping Norma. She's yelling for Norman, who she doesn't realize is not home. And then suddenly Norman kind of shows up, hits this guy, and they end up killing this guy. So they're like, crap, dude. And, you know, and Norman kind of is the one who, logically thinking, is like, oh my god, we need to call the cops. Norman's like, no, we cannot call the cops. No, Norman, of course, is like, Mom, like, seriously, he was raping you. This was self-defense. Like, we need to call the cops. And she's explaining, like, no, we can't, because you know what? Like, we just moved here. This is going to be public. Do you think anyone's going to want to check into a hotel where something like this happened? Like, no, we need to take care of this and not tell anyone. So they're using up all these rooms to, like, try and hide the evidence and everything. And what do you know? As they're doing this, cops show up. So Sheriff Romero shows up with his partner in crime. They're asking different things, blah, 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 and everything. So right off the bat, you're kind of like, oh my god, are they going to get caught? Oh my god, are they going to get caught? They don't get caught. So, which is a good thing. So next night, they dispose of the body in the lake, because that's what you do, is you dispose bodies in lakes and everything, which I kind of like, because that does definitely fit into, like, the Psycho franchise and everything, you know, and, like, in a way, especially if you're kind of, like, watching this and thinking of the movies and how they tie in with the movies, it makes sense of why Norman would have, like, put, Janet Leigh's character, like, driven her car into the lake and everything, or the pond or whatever. So it's, like, things like that they're trying to, like, keep, consistent with it and everything. So yeah, and it's, you know, first episode's really good. Like I said, you're kind of like, ooh, you know, stuff's already happening. You can tell by the first episode that you're just, you know, this whole series is gonna be, like, hitting the ground running and everything. So, and also, we come to find out, as they're, dumping the body, that there's gonna be a bypass that's gonna be built to the main road. So Norma now is even more concerned, because she's like, well, I didn't know this when I bought the property, and great, now no one's going to know we're out here. No one's ever going to be driving over here to rent a room, so now what am I even supposed to do? I don't know. So, like I said, right off the bat, first episode, they've already killed a guy that they can't tell anyone about. They got to try and hide this. Plus, they got to worry about this damn bypass that's going to be starting to be built. and take away all of their potential guests that could be staying at the motel. So, yeah, so, and that's the other thing, the bypass. That's another thing from, like, the movie where you're like, okay, cool, like, consistency. So I kind of like that. I like that, this entire series, from what I remember, pretty, continuity-wise, pretty close in keeping it with movies and everything, plus adding its own little things to make it its own little entity and everything. So, yeah, that is episode 1 from season 1 of Bates Motel. We'll be doing, I was going to say season 2, episode 2 next week. So, till next time, you guys, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.